There are currently 20 classes in Cod Mobile BR, but not all classes are given the same love. So today I'm gonna rank them. Kicking things off with the classes in D tier, we only have one class, the Desperado. The abilities of Desperado are extremely weak and hard to get value out of. In a game where movement is key, standing still just to use the not so worth it shield turret is a big disadvantage. While this class allows you to self-revive yourself, but doing so is almost impossible thanks to the extremely long and hard to get used to animation. Along with all this, when you factor in its decent passive, it's clear how much this class lacks in usefulness. Moving on, we now have classes that are C tier, which I consider to be good, unique and fun classes that have the potential to pull up some amazing plays in some situations. And our first C- class is Quick Strike, a fairly new class with an ultimate that demands mastery but in return doesn't reward you for it. Furthermore, attaining high ground with the ultimate is rather inconvenient, which makes it hard to recommend. The next class we have in C- is Airborne. It had a really rocky road from being insanely good to being terrible, and despite the recent buffs, it has failed to reclaim its former glory. Being able to rotate with your squad provided ample opportunities for tactical play, but with the amount of nerfs it has received since then, it has lost much of its value. Igniter is one of the newest classes in the game, which received a handful of buffs in quick succession, but that did not help it rank any higher than C-. While the passive ability is decent, the ultimate ability is woefully weak. The way the ultimate works makes it really hard to get value out of. The real world practicality just isn't there, and that's why it's low on the list. Coming in at straight up C tier is the Clown class. It's a class that you will see in every single match. We all are familiar with this class. It's straightforward, let the dogs out and the nearby enemies are gonna get attacked. While the damage is not particularly high, the destruction they create lets you have the upper hand. Additionally, the recent buff to the detection range of the K9 is a positive as well. Moving on to the next class, which is the Defender class. It used to be broken back in the old days, but it's no longer the case. It has earned a place slightly higher than the aforementioned classes solely because of its flashing ability. Blinding your opponent in a 1v1 situation is an insane advantage and can turn the tides in your favor. The skill required to use this class is close to zero, so if you are not an aggressive player and like to take it slow, you can give Defender a chance. Next up is the Spotter class. More suited for squad plays, this defense class is capable of locking down enemies in a location or forcing them to move by using its ultimate, which launches an airstrike at a location you aim at. This sounds really good, but in reality it's really easy to afford the bombing, though it might work wonders sometimes, but I believe a good class doesn't rely on chances or luck. The first C+ class is going to the Hacker. The ability to disable ultimate abilities of the enemy players and destroying traps is extremely underrated, especially in competitive squad games. The value it provides comes down though when you switch from squads to solos or duos. While your mobility slows considerably during hacking, the subsequent speed boost more than compensates for the lost time. A great class for squads and worth the pick if you like to step back and support your team from far. The next C+ class is the newest class, which is the Ravager launcher. The missile launcher that deals a good amount of damage to enemy players and vehicles is really solid. It's insanely good against enemy vehicles, which is really something to be considered as the hoverbike abusers are taking over the game right now. Though the launcher can be destroyed easily, its presence in the battle adds a touch of chaos that can keep your enemies on their toes. The Smoke Bomber class is our final contender at C+ tier. It boasts a passive ability that enhances your speed when hit by enemy or when you activate your ultimate. And speaking of ultimate, Smokey's Smoke Bomb allows you to create instant cover, and not only that, you can easily spot your enemies through the smoke, which allows for tactical pushes. Being able to see your enemies through the smoke and just decimate them while they have no idea about your whereabouts is insanely underrated. A squad that works together with their Smoke Bomber will be able to really have a lot of fun. Starting us off at B tier is the Scout class. A passive that lets you chase enemies by following their footsteps is great to say the least. Though the range is not something to write home about, its ultimate is something that players love immensely. The ultimate is a sensor dart that reveals enemy location. So if you are someone that struggles with awareness, Scout is the class for you. Solos, duos or squads, the value it provides is solid. The icing on the cake is that the gathered intel is shared with your teammates, making it an even more valuable addition to your team's strategy. Another class that really adds value to your squad and one of the most underrated classes classes that keeps getting buffs time and again is the medic. The passive ability that lets you heal faster and revive teammates quicker is a savior. The ultimate drops a medical station that heals you and your teammates, recovering not only health but shields as well. It is essential for a medic to avoid dying early on and know when and where to use the ultimate in order to achieve the utmost benefits. If you can master these skills, you will become the most valuable asset to your squad, and that's medic for you. Moving on to our last flat B tier class, which is the Trap Master. The Trap Master is infamous for the insane value it provides in exchange for little to no skills. It's annoying to go against one of these classes, especially in areas where there's a ton of buildings. Even after the comprehensive overhaul of this class, it remains solid. It's borderline B+, however, since the effectiveness of the traps goes down significantly in open spaces, it cannot advance any further. Moving on to the only B+ class, the Mechanic. This class has a really cool passive ability that lets you see traps and vehicles even through buildings, which is really helpful when entering a new location. Its ultimate ability deploys an EMP drone that disables enemy players, preventing them from using their skills or aiming down sights. This gives you a huge advantage, and it's especially effective in solos and duos. It falls off in squad mode as it's hard to get the most out of the drone when there's an entire squad covering for their disabled teammate. Moving into the straight A tier, we have Refitter. I went back and forth with Refitter from B+ to A, but I truly think Refitter is one of the better classes in Cod Mobile. Its passive ability reduces the time it takes to recover health and also gradually repairs your vehicle when you are inside it. The ultimate ability is even more impressive as it grants you and your entire team an additional layer of health, like a shield, which can be the difference between winning and losing in a gunfight. With shotguns being particularly overpowered at the moment, having that extra bit of protection can be a real lifesaver. For those looking for a support class, the Refitter is definitely worth considering. Our second A tier class is the Trickster. As the name suggests, it tricks enemies by deploying 2 decoys. Along with increased movement speed, it's a great option for close range fights when you need to escape or avoid shots. While it's usually easy to spot the real trickster, there may be times when you can't distinguish and end up revealing your position or losing the fight altogether. It's a great class that somehow just works. We now have 2 classes that are borderline S tier for me, and the first one is Rewind. Rewind is a pretty interesting class which has a lot to unpack. A passive that increases the movement speed after using the ultimate complements the playstyle that Rewind offers. Its ultimate is pretty wild as it lets you teleport back in time to where you were 8 seconds prior. This is really useful to get dog tags or just confusing your enemies by going back and forth in fights. It's a really fun class and opens up for a unique and crazy playstyle that no other class offers. If you are looking for something different, fun and randomness, give this class a shot. Clocking in the final A+ spot is gonna be the Poltergeist. Be it squads, duos or solo, this class doesn't disappoint. Being able to go invisible for a short period is pretty insane, and those red flashing lights on the enemy's screen when you go invisible strike some serious fear. Its passive ability to reduce movement noises is a perfect match for its ultimate. The only reason it's not an S tier class is that after the first 2 seconds of going invisible, you become slightly visible, which means that enemies can still spot you if they pay close attention. But overall, this class is great at allowing you to deal damage first, which may give you an edge in the battle. We now have the best classes in Cod Mobile, insanely good in all game modes, great playmakers, and complement skillful players. The first S tier class is going to be the Ninja. It is popularly known as the Sweat class and excels in taking high ground. The ultimate grappling hook helps in closing in the distance or escaping chaos. The suppressed movement noises of the class serve the ultimate really well. Ninja is highly picked, and there's no denying why. If you want to be on top of your game, give this class a try. Our final S tier class is the Pumped. There's a lot of reasons why Pumped is on top, but for starters, a great passive and ultimate that this class offers makes it a dominant force. Be it solos, duos or squads, you are going to dominate the battlefield when you have Pumped. Being able to fly using the passive along with reduced movement noises is too good for a Battle Royale game, and the ultimate takes things even further by letting you soar even higher, giving you the high ground advantage that's crucial in BR games. Taking high ground anywhere at any time without having to aim like Ninja is massive and a breeze with Pumped. Click here to check out the top 5 best guns, and I'll catch you in the next one.